Let's talk to Eduardo. Eduardo is he, him pronouns. Eduardo is from Brazil. And Eduardo wants to talk about theists and atheists are both as close to the truth as possible. We're just seeing it from different perspectives. So it's kind of the, we're all the same, me too kind of argument from a religious standpoint. So Eduardo, are you with us? Eduardo, let me try this again here. Are you with us now, Eduardo?
Hello.
There you are. All right, from Brazil. Thank you.
It's not right. It's not quite that. Actually, it's because when you have to give a point, you have to sort of summarize. My impression is actually that I don't know if you heard of the fable, The Blind Man and the Elephant.
The fable of the what in the elephant?
Oh, yeah, there's the blind man, and one person touches the skin and thinks it's a crocodile. One touches the trunk and says it's a snake, and
I'm familiar with that.
Touches the leg, I think it's a tree, and the other one touches the trunk and think it's the snake.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a very little to go upon. Actually, I'm a spiritist, and it's atypical because it's a religion that's the principal aim is doubting, is actually searching for knowledge, searching for truth. And I started to, I did it all my life, but I started to think a little more on that. I started to watch your programs and reading a little about atheism and then about Islamism and all other things I could lay my hand on, actually.
Well, Eduardo, let me ask you a question here. Did you
Right.
Sorry, Eduardo, we got a little bit of a lag here, so I don't mean to talk over you. But Jamie was talking about in his cold open about epistemology, about the idea of the methodology that you use to come up with your conclusions can be just as important or sometimes even more important than the conclusions themselves. So in the notes for your call, it says that theists and atheists are both as close as to the truth as possible. So you seem, I agree with you that we're looking at things from perhaps a different perspective, that we're taking different approaches here. You seem to be hinting that we're both being just as effective in finding the truth. Do you have any reason for thinking that's the case? Because surely you would agree that even if we have two people that don't have the actual truth or don't have direct access to the truth, there could be one party that is more correct or more closer to the truth than the other. So giving that a possibility, how can you justify thinking that we're all kind of in the same position here?
Well, that's why I actually use the analogy of the blind man and the elephant, because so nowadays, at least somebody who is not deep into religious dogmas, we basically utilize rational thinking. In school, it's fine, but every time, we do have experiences that are not provable, and that's why I think that I know I didn't hear the opening, but I got the idea of epistemology. I was with the course here, but I get the idea. But it is there are many ways to arrive at the truth. Some more reliable, some less reliable. But at the same time, I particularly think about that because, I mean, that's one of the other reasons that I think about that.
Well, let me ask you something, Eduardo. I want to expand on your.
I have to take it off.
I want to expand a little bit on your elephant analogy. So you said that, so we have a bunch of people in the dark and they're reaching out to learn about reality in front of them. One of them touches what they think is a tree trunk. One of them touches what they think is a snake and so forth, and the ear and the tusk and all these different things. But let's also consider perhaps another group of individuals that are doing the same thing. They're all in the dark as well. They're reaching out, and one of them is in front of a tree and reaches out and touches a tree trunk. One of them does, in fact, have a snake in front of them. And so in that case, they are seeing different things. And so how can you tell which case we're in? Are we in the case where we're all looking at the same thing and coming to different conclusions? Or are we in the other case where we actually have different things that we're looking at and that we're coming to different conclusions for good reasons? What do you have any on which of those two scenarios you think we're in and why? I'm sorry, I was talking over there. Repeat that, please.
Actually, I do think that we are in the first scenario, actually, because we are sort of, and I agree, epistemology is important. So there are longer ways to find the truth, slower ways to find the truth. But the questions are all the same, really. Where we came from, where we are going, or if anywhere.
So let's pick a concrete example. Let's pick one thing. Sorry, Jamie's been sitting patiently.
There's something I want to interject here, Eduardo, and I think there's a fundamental flaw in the premise that we're discussing, because people can be atheists for bad reasons, right? Now, I'm a skeptic first. My atheism comes from my skepticism.
Right.
So, and being a blind person, I can't trust my perception. So if you want to actually use that analogy, what a true skeptic would do is touch this thing and say, well, what is it? Well, I don't know. Let's investigate further. And here's the thing. If you start making conclusions based on incomplete evidence...
I'm not laughing at you.
What?
I'm not laughing at you. It's just, I'm not laughing at you. Maybe you heard me laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm going to say, and sort of I didn't use for that, but I'm blind actually. And you don't want to do that. Trust me, you don't want to do that. I've touched a rat without knowing what it is. You got to be careful with that.
Well, I am careful. I mean, but here's the thing. So if you are indeed fully black blind or severely visually impaired, you understand that perception is massively flawed. And so you don't trust it on its own. You also don't make assumptions. That's dangerous. And the problem with the atheistic outlook on life in terms of the truth of whether a God exists is that it always seems to come down to gut feeling and assumption over evidence. And I much, much prefer to wait for actual evidence. So I don't agree with you. I don't think that theists, people who believe there is a God, are significantly closer to the truth. They may believe they are, but they have no more evidence for a God than I do. Or maybe they are both as close to the truth, which is nowhere near. There isn't any compelling evidence for a God as far as I can see. And if that's the truth that you're looking for, fine. But if you're talking about other truths, like where did we come from? How did life come to be? There's loads and loads of evidence out there from secular sources, from science. But every explanation put forward by religion has always been proven to be laughably false. So I completely disagree with your statement that theists and atheists are as close to the truth as each other, because religious explanations for natural phenomena are almost always completely inaccurate.
And I would add on to that, if we want to say that atheists and theists are equally close to the truth, at the very least, we have to have a rough idea on how close to the truth they are individually. If we want to compare them, that's one thing, but we need to have some idea on how close to the truth we're talking about. Do you have any comment on that, Eduardo?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I'm on a bit of a delay. That's the thing. I do think that we are still in the dark, even knowing most of things nowadays. Of course, we know how the human beings made. That you had that discussion at the beginning. I don't even want to touch that, but we know how it works. But
my question was more to the why than the what. I mean, I feel I have a pretty good grasp of what you're talking about here. I want to know why do you think that theists are close to the truth at all, much less equally close to the truth as some other group?
I'm getting there. Because the what is kind of the why. Because okay, so we know things by using science that 100 years ago we used science and we thought it was wrong. It's simple. It's 100 years ago, people wouldn't even know. I mean, people would see that, but they wouldn't even classify intersex, be the one or the other.
So because science being able to change its conclusions based on better evidence and methodology is a feature, not a bug. The Earth being created in 6 days by a magic sky man was wrong when the book was written, and it's still wrong now.
Yeah, but that's something that's usually, but that's the other thing. We have explanations. And here is when I say that we are closer, as close as we don't know if they exclude each other or they complete each other. What was a day at the time? What was and I know you talk about for example, the sun that comes after the light and the planets, and that's absurd. But did it?
So what can you say as far as the why though? I asked you, how do we know that? Why would we think that any particular group is close to the truth? I mean, what would be a good way to assess that? Let's say we have a group of people, they make a claim, and we want to decide if they're true. Do we turn to another group and say, well, they can't do this? Does it make sense to do something like that? I asked you how to justify the claim that theists or spiritualists or whatever you want to call it are close to the truth at all, and you started talking about atheists. So what I'd like to do is, do you have any kind of positive claim, or do you have positive argument? Do you have anything that would kind of push you towards that conclusion that you are in fact onto some truth here?
Yeah. I mean, I have for my religion. I can't speak for any others, because we believe that actually because we believe in three revelations. Almost didn't get that out. So the First Testament, the Second Testament, and then the books by Allan Kardec. You can research that later, maybe. Anyway, so
I haven't heard of because yet. I haven't heard of because. I would like to hear what comes after the because.
Because I'm telling that because in this. Usually, each iteration, let's say, of explanation of religion, it has to satisfy how can I say this? The acceptation of the day. So people only believe literally the things of the First Testament because they were probably thought to believe since they were a child, but somebody who is out of that I want to call brainwash because
I still haven't heard of because yet. I still haven't heard of because. So people believe this because of what?
There is, because that's the thing. Those tests are those myths they are the starting point for science. Science tried to disprove that. At the beginning, they were trying to prove it. Now they try to disprove it.
Okay,
And,
so are you saying that's reason to believe? Are you saying that we should believe it's true because science has not proven that it's false?
Maybe. I mean, maybe in the sense that.
Interesting. Okay, so let me ask you another question then. Hold on one second, Eduardo. I want us to just sit on that for a moment. So you're suggesting, I asked you, do you think it's justifiable to believe something merely because it hasn't been proven otherwise? And you said maybe. And so I appreciate the fact that you're struggling with this question and that you're trying to put some thought into it. And I really like that. And I enjoy hearing that from a caller. Let me ask you another side question then. What if I were to tell you that yesterday I proved that there was no God? Okay, let's say I say yesterday I presented all this evidence and I created this rock solid argument that there is no God. Can you prove that I did not make that argument?
No, but I would.
Okay, so you can't prove that I didn't make the. So does that mean that you should believe that I did make the argument?
Well, I guess we come back to that.
A little different, isn't it? A little different when it's on your coming from the other side.
I was there, man. The proof was amazing. So now it's two of us.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen. I don't believe that actually. I mean, I disbelieve because of the way you were saying that, but I don't disbelieve that because it would be wrong for me to see.
Okay, so then that puts us back in a position where we don't have any evidence supporting the God belief. If so, we started out with, well, science has been after all this time, science has been unable to disprove that the existence of a God, but now we've kind of stumbled on this together, right? That type of argument just doesn't hold water. You're right. You can use the same kind of argument and you'll come up with contradictory conclusions. That means that there's some kind of at least one of your assumptions was off the mark or incorrect. And so we can set that aside. So then that leaves us still without any evidence supporting the God conclusion. Or is there something else you haven't mentioned yet?
But no, I actually sort of know what you guys are going to say to that. I don't believe that the things we don't know yet. I believe that the fine-tuning argument, and I kind of know that you're going to say that we are full of defects and all kinds of things, but I do think that we are actually still being built. Yeah, I'm sorry for it. That's my Portuguese coming in. We are still being built. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I mean, so my argument against the fine-tuning argument isn't Eduardo. My argument against the fine-tuning argument isn't necessarily that there's a lot of stuff that's inefficient or bad or like God may have built these flaws into the universe for some reason, like the built-in flaw in the Death Star, whatever. But we have one universe that we can look at. We have no others to compare it to. And so we can't determine whether it's designed or not because there is no evidence of design because you can't say, we don't have any other universes to compare it to. We don't know what the design methodology for a universe would be. It's just an assumption that it's designed. And complexity or simplicity aside, because we can only perceive this one universe and we have nothing else to compare it to and no external evidence to guide us on that, we can't come to the conclusion it was designed. We just have to say, we don't know.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying we don't know. There would be nothing wrong if those 4 people in the dark that are feeling something in front of them, it's okay for them to say we don't know, because they can't tell if they're in the group that has the elephant or in the group that has the tree trunk and the snake and the, you know, the fan or whatever the ear was supposed to be, you know. And so if we don't know, then it's not really rational to say anything beyond we don't know. Would you agree with that?
Actually, I agree with you. I agree with you, but most people don't even realize that they don't know. Even theists, atheists, all you're talking about religion here, theists and atheists, but most people don't even realize that they don't know. They are pretty sure, because the fable, back to the fable, is this. They meet, they don't go off to see the elephant. They meet it on the middle of the road. They are blind. They're totally blind. It's an Indian fable, actually. And they meet that, and then they say, well, that's a tree. And then the other one says, that's a wall. The one touches the trunk says, that's a snake. They don't even
So
know
in that case, they were wrong, right? They were wrong.
But that's what I mean. Most people are wrong, and nobody's really that.
So do you think that's supporting your case, or do you think you're actually undermining your case here at this point?
I think I'm supporting my case, but I think I'm undermining it.
Jamie, did you want to? I didn't want to interrupt you there.
Yeah, it was just the whole with this. Again, we got a bunch of people who don't know what an elephant is, trying to get they can't possibly know the correct answer unless they know. But if they know what an elephant is, if these 4 blind people actually know what an elephant is, they may be able together to come and say, "Well, I'm feeling something that feels like a tree. Well, I'm feeling something that feels like a snake. Well, I'm feeling something that feels like a wall. I'm feeling something that feels like a fan. But we're all feeling the same thing. So if we take all of those things and put them together, then perhaps we can come up with an elephant." But beside the point, the whole thing is that you're just showing that people's perceptions are fallible, and that to draw conclusions without proper evidence is a bad idea. And by definition, atheists, for whatever reason they don't believe in a God, are drawing one less conclusion from an assumption than theists. I don't assume there is a God. Theists do. So by very definition, according to Occam's razor, atheists are more likely to be correct because they're making less assumptions.
Is that clicking with you, Eduardo, or is that making any sense?
Yeah, it is. And that's why I'm calling. I want to be refuted. If I was going to call to be agreeable, I would just call somewhere else. I mean,
Okay.
I'm still not convinced, but I'm gonna think on it because sense it makes. That's what it says.
Okay.
All right. Well, so you're open to exploration. I think that's awesome. Eduardo, I want to thank you for your call. It was very nice talking to you, and I appreciate it that you called in, and maybe we can talk again some other time.